The absolute best sales team don't need to be babysat. They don't need a manager chasing them down or even asking them for updates. They hold themselves accountable because the system makes it impossible not to. And most business owners and sales managers think accountability means pressure, which are long meetings, micromanaging, and constant check ins. But real accountability isn't about control, it's about psychology. It's about building a culture where self reflection replaces supervision. When accountability depends on you, you become the bottleneck. Now, you're chasing KPIs, checking reports, and asking for updates all day. But the second that you stop pushing or a sales manager stops pushing, the performance drops. And that's not leadership, that's chaos. So the goal isn't to force accountability, it's to engineer it. You want your reps to self report, self reflect, and ultimately self correct. Because when accountability comes from within, you no longer have to force anymore. All right, so every single morning, our sales reps self report when they complete role play and specifically what they worked on. Not just did you role play, but what exact skill did you work on today? Maybe it's objection handling, maybe it's tonality, maybe it's tightening discovery questions, but that morning reflection gets their brain focused on growth before the day even starts. So number one, that they're actually locked in working on their skills without you having to do another meeting. But number two, you also can see what they're actually working on, because especially if you had a conversation as a sales manager or business owner about how, hey, you need to work on your discovery. Hey, you need to work on handling this objection. And you know that they're actually constantly working on that. Then it gives you a lot more relief. And ultimately, you can see a lot more growth within your business. Now, at the end of every single day, it's very simple. They need to review 3 live calls using our call reviewer. Then they need to report tangible KPIs. So very simple: setters, calls made, conversations, appointments set, things like that. As a closer, schedule calls, calls as shown, amount of deals closed, amount of revenue collected. And this rhythm starts to create consistency because they can see their progress daily and they actually own it. And then once a week, every single sales rep must submit a short self reflection. And within the self reflection, it includes 3 key questions. Number one, what did you accomplish this week? Number two, what did you do well? And then number 3, what are you improving next week? And the most important part that we ask is they got to write down the specific skill or metric that they're looking to improve next week. So maybe it's next week I'm tightening up my opener, or next week I'm aiming for 4 booked calls a day instead of 3, or next week I'm looking to improve on my discovery. And what this does is it allows reps to build internal motivation, and it also allows reps to self-reflect on, hey, outside of the numbers and outside of maybe what I think I was doing well, here's actually what my week looked like, and here's what I should improve on next week. So for a sales manager and a business owner, you can go through all of their self-reflections every single week and see if they're actually progressing. Because at the end of the day, you're obviously not looking for perfection, but if you can see constant improvement week after week in a sales rep's skills and their effort and specific things that they're looking to accomplish, that gives you a way better sense of where they're going as a person. And if they're not doing these things, then you should start giving them warnings, having conversations with them, and ultimately if they may not be the right fit for your business. And when a rep reflects and sets their own targets, they start to change internally. And that's really where real growth happens. Because just like in sales, you can't really convince someone to change by talking at them. And the biggest change in someone's life is when it comes internally instead of externally. And that's really when it starts to stick. And that's when you see the most growth happen. Now, on the contrast, we do combine that reflection and self-reporting with structure through a strike system. So it's very simple. If a rep misses daily KPI reporting, if they miss or show up late to a meeting with no communication, they fail to record calls, or they're consistently missing KPIs after ramp up, or they're not working on their own training, they are starting to get a strike. So 3 strikes and they're off the team. Depending on your business and depending on the person, you can make the strike system different. But this is really just to hold them accountable outside of what they're currently doing, because you want to make sure that you actually have repercussions if people aren't following the system. So you want to give 3 warnings before that point, because you want to make it structured, fair, and transparent. Obviously, if they miss one day of KPIs, you don't want to kick them off the team, but you want to instill this culture of doing the boring work, because ultimately the boring work is what grows companies. And this isn't punishment, it's discipline. And this is really what keeps the standards high in a company. And the strike system isn't about fear, it's about freedom. It allows top performers to move fast without chaos. It also gives clarity to killers and pressure to the passengers, because freedom only exists when structure's in place. When people self-report and actually reflect daily, they reinforce their identity as top performers. And when they know the standards are real, they don't resist accountability, they embrace it. And with me specifically, I manage dozens of sales teams, especially in the B2B space. And once we instilled the self-reporting system, I really never had to check in again. The system really did it for me, and the strike system helped me give them repercussions if they didn't. And the data replaced emotion, and my reps started leading themselves from within. But, there's obviously a difference between control and culture. Control says, I'll make sure that you're doing your job. Culture says, we don't need to be told, it's who we are. And that's really the psychology of accountability. It's not forced, it's felt. So if you want your team to be consistent, you got to stop pushing and really start designing. Because the more your reps reflect, report, and take ownership, the less you really have to micromanage, and you can actually focus on the bigger picture, both as a business owner and as a sales manager. And that's really how real accountability is built, not from the top down, but from the inside out. So, thanks for the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow.